Episode 9, Cloud Tower Under Siege. We begin at Contrarium College on Oppositus, the world where opposites exist in perfect harmony. That peace is, of course, disrupted by the invading Owls of Diamond. The Trix turn to Selina, who uses the Legendarium to summon the Master of Scales, a boogeyman-type character said to destroy the balance, forcing polarities that once coexisted to turn on each other, or using something's opposite to destroy it. They conquer the school relatively easily, taking their spells. About half of the college decides to join the Coven, with the other half declining. Darcy, however, wins them over with some reverse psychology, meaning the entire student body is now under their sway. After this conquest, the Trix feel like they're ready to take on Cloud Tower, specifically using the Master of Scales' powers of opposites to their advantage. In addition to this, Selina has another idea. She asks if the Trix know about Venomia, the harsh critic with a sharp tongue ready to drag the Winx's name through the press for anything. The Trix have heard of her, though not recently, and Selina shows them why as she transforms into her, and immediately the Trix catch on to Selina's plan. We then cut to Cloud Tower, where the Winx are laying into Bloom for what she did to Stella. Aisha says that ever since they've been together, it's just been Bloom dragging them along from crisis to crisis, more concerned with her own comfort by keeping them all together than their own feelings or even their safety. Musa and Roxy agree and are likewise fed up. Only Flora and Tecna are sympathetic. Bloom tries to talk to Stella, apologizing to her, but Stella doesn't respond. Instead, she leaves, saying that she's going out for some air. The others follow, saying that they need time to think things over, with Bloom staying behind with Kiko. Exhausted, Musa suggests they go somewhere to relax and think things over. She suggests Magic City, which Roxy is excited for since she's never seen it. At least not before where her memories stop. As they head off, Roy arrives, trying to check on Aisha, but Aisha says she needs some time with her friends. If she's his boss, then she's demanding he take the day off. Roy is a bit bummed out, though Nex assures him that Aisha can handle herself. Nex, however, also gets right to the point, asking if Roy has feelings for her. At first, Roy wants to deny it, saying that's ridiculous, especially when Aisha's with Naboo now. That's not what Nex asked, though. Roy admits it's been hard getting over his crush, but even so, he still wants to protect Aisha. Nex suggests that Roy focuses on being a friend to Aisha first, talking to her like he would anyone else, while also letting himself entertain the idea of fancying someone else. It's easier said than done, as love is something almost untamable, but it can be done. We cut back to Bloom trying to draw again, but she can't seem to focus. She notices Laquette glancing at her from around the corner. She finds the pixies talking about what's happened. Amore is upset by the invasion of privacy Stella experienced, while Laquette and Piff are blaming themselves. Chatta has half a mind to kick Bloom's ass, while Toon and Digit argue over the proper way to get payback. Bloom admits to them she made a terrible mistake. She's still trying to figure out how to make it up to the others, but she apologizes to all of them, especially Amore for what she did to Stella, and to Laquette and Piff for roping them into her scheme. A knock at the door catches Bloom's attention. She's greeted by Professor Fuoka, a witch of fire who recently began working at Cloud Tower, also creation of my friend Cinzy. She's heard much about Bloom from Griffin, and was asked to help her channel her inner darkness in light of recent events. Fuoka explains that she's from Umbra, the realm of shadows and darkness, meaning this is her field of expertise, though she also studied from the Elder Maya and the dragons of Pyros. This catches Bloom's attention. Hesitantly, Bloom agrees, saying that it couldn't hurt. We then cut to Magic City, where the Winx talk about what they want to do. Of course, to lighten the mood, they do enjoy some pizza, with Roxy amazed by Magic City. She wasn't expecting such a high-tech, futuristic metropolis. Tecna redirects the conversation back to their mission, earning Ardorix, getting their memories back, and stopping the Trix. Aisha argues that she didn't agree to the way Bloom is treated to them, or to have their lives continually threatened. Flora makes the point that they all wanted to be guardian fairies of their worlds. Surely this falls in line with that. Musa is still of the belief they should all take time themselves to figure out what they want, instead of constantly forcing themselves to be together when clearly they don't really know each other all that well. All the while, Stella simply stares at her food, silent. Aisha also brings up how Bloom hasn't told them everything that she knows. That Selina girl with the Legendarium, for instance. It's clear Bloom knows her, but won't talk about it. Flora asserts that it's probably difficult to talk about something so personal, and Tecna reminds Aisha of that spell that wiped their memories. It's likely there are other obstacles preventing Bloom from sharing, but Aisha isn't fully convinced, and reminds them of Bloom's own breach of privacy. Selina, who is watching nearby, decides to use this conflict to her advantage. She transforms herself with her illusions, and then approaches the table as Bloom, greeting the Winx as her minions. This riles the Winx up, of course, and Bloom takes the opportunity to take shots at each of them. How no one cares about Tecna or Musa, how Stella and Aisha are unlikable, arrogant princesses, and how Roxy is nothing but a fledgling fairy who is almost as entitled as everyone says Bloom herself is. After doing her damage, Bloom walks off, saying she's got better things to do, and can easily replace all of them with people who know how to worship the ground she walks on. Back at Cloud Tower, the real Bloom does an exercise with Fuoka on channeling darker emotions into a flame. Fuoka's powers allow her to do this, granting her the destructive power of a shadowy purple and green blaze. Bloom is apprehensive, as her previous attempts at tapping into her dark magic have never gone well. It usually winds up consuming her, and she even flashes back to her exercise with Professor Avalon, which gave way to her dark Bloom possession. Fuoka, however, encourages Bloom to view her darkness as an unexpected ally, something that is meant to help her in ways that she could never anticipate. Bloom begins the exercise, and her memories bring her back to herself and Selina, with Selina seemingly giving her the cold shoulder when they were teenagers. As if on cue, Venomia barges in, here to ask Bloom all the invasive questions about how she and the Winx let Althea fall into the Trix's hands, and how they're helpless to stop them from attacking all the magic colleges. She expects Bloom to be defensive, but instead, Bloom admits that she's messed up. She's hurt the people she cares about because of her own selfishness, and Venomia had a point all along. Venomia is surprised by what she calls a newly developed self-awareness. Surprisingly, Venomia decides to leave of her own accord, assisted by Fuoka's death glare, but gives Bloom another piece of advice. An apology without actual change isn't a real apology. Afterwards, Venomia slips into the library and, finding herself alone, sheds her disguise, becoming Selina once again. She uses the Legendarium to summon the Master of Scales, and asks him to clog the heart of Cloud Tower with fairy magic, the natural opposite of witch magic. As he does so, Cloud Tower begins to shake, the building flailing as Griffin senses the school is in pain. And on cue, Althea approaches. The Trix order the students from Appositus to assist in weakening Cloud Tower's defenses, while the Beta Academy students infiltrate the building and clear out the witches. The people of Magic City watch as the Flying Fairy School besieges Cloud Tower in the distance. The Winx debate whether to go and help, and Stella in particular seems afraid of stepping up. Their decision is made, however, as they sense the fear of their pixies through their magic bonds. Back at Cloud Tower, the Trix descend onto the bridge, where they're immediately met with Headmistress Griffin. Griffin says if the Trix think she's going to let them take this school again, they're in for a world of hurt. The Trix laugh, and Icy says they're not here to conquer Cloud Tower, they're here to destroy it. Inside, Bloom tells the pixies to hide in the dorm while she checks what's happening. Once she sees all the Beta Academy students infiltrating, she transforms, fighting alongside Lucy, Nut, and all the fairies and witches to defend Cloud Tower. Lucy says that something is wrong with the tower itself, and Bloom's first thought is that something has happened to the heart. Lucy tells Bloom to go check on the heart and see if her healing powers might be able to restore their defenses. In the heart's chamber, the Master of Scales continues destroying Cloud Tower's heart with fairy magic. Selina clearly is uncomfortable as she hears the castle crying out in pain. Acheron, however, opens the Legendarium, telling Selina she ought to destroy the Winx while she's here. She tries to table the idea, saying that they could still prove useful, which Bloom overhears when she enters. Immediately noticing Bloom, Selina shuts the Legendarium before Acheron can give away too many details, and she greets Bloom. Back outside, Griffin continues her fight with the Trix. The young witches are impressed by Griffin's power, though Griffin reminds them how she bested them even when they had the all-powerful dragon flame. The Winx arrive to help, thankfully at the same time Saladin, Brandon's squad, and the rest of the Red Fountain specialists arrive to provide backup. Saladin reminds the Trix that the Company of Light still shines bright, even more so through the younger generations. Griffin tells the Winx and specialists to head inside and help their friends. Nex seconds that, choosing to help Griffin. Nex comments on how he hopes this reunion with Darcy goes well this time, though Darcy is keen on destroying him once and for all. Nex also makes a comment asking if Darcy still loves to use her illusions to get her way, which really grinds Darcy's gears. Inside, Roy helps Lucy lead the fairies and witches in holding back the Beta Academy students, though that proves difficult as Chimera and Crystal lead the charge. Lazuli, deciding to save her own skin, even uses her power to decimate her own side before pledging her loyalty to the Owls of Diamond. Aisha says it's a shame to hear that, knocking her and the Beta students back with a wave of her own. Chimera is at least eager to fight Stella again, while Flora, with her new Ardorx powers, is looking forward to punishing Crystal for her treachery. We cut back into the heart chamber, where Bloom asks Selina why she's doing all of this. Selina doesn't respond. Bloom breaks the silence, admitting she can't remember much of their friendship, but whatever happened to make her join the Trix, she's sorry. Regardless, Bloom can't let Selina do this to Cloud Tower. She couldn't save Althea, but she'll do whatever she can to save the College for Witches. Selina says that's very noble of her, asking her to prove it as she sicks the Master of Scales on Bloom, who uses his power to turn all of her fire to ice. Recalling the appositist magic that Valtor used on her way back when, Bloom realizes she can't afford to be reckless with her magic like usual. However, she also remembers that fairy dust is what freed her, and using it to protect herself, she's able to break through the Master of Scales' attacks. She then dives into Cloud Tower's heart, where she flashes back to all of her previous dreams of being left behind and her past with Selina. She then hears Dark Bloom calling her an idiot, and sees her floating ahead. Reluctantly, Bloom asks for her help, and Dark Bloom obliges, using her purple flame to restore the dark magic in Cloud Tower's veins, simultaneously purging all of the fairy magic. This winds up destroying the Master of Scales, freeing Cloud Tower from its pain, and forcing all of the invaders back out. Begrudgingly, the Trix and Beta students return to Althea and flee. Bloom emerges from the heart exhausted. Selina moves to leave, only to check on Bloom and prop her up to make sure that she's okay. As she hears someone approaching, she uses her magic to disappear. Laquette and the other pixies arrive as Bloom comes to, glad to see that she's okay. Bloom also notices that her Enchantix key has been left behind. With Cloud Tower saved, everyone is grateful to learn that the Trix failed to steal any of their spells. However, they'll clearly need to remain on guard and reinforce their security. Though Bloom is still recovering, she still makes an effort to apologize to all of the Winx, especially Stella. They don't accept this, however, reciting some of the insults that Selina disguised as Bloom threw their way earlier. This confuses Bloom, of course, though only Flora seems to come around, while Tecna insists on working together for practicality's sake. The others, though, are insistent that they're through. After all, they have no idea whether their memories will even return, and as such, they need to focus on choosing their own futures for themselves instead of feeling obligated to stay together. While Flora and Tecna are comfortable staying, Stella, Musa, Aisha, and Roxy all decide to head home. Though she's upset, Bloom agrees it's for the best and wishes them happiness and luck. Stella uses her scepter to drop them all off, and after she and the others disappear, Bloom breaks down and cries, with Flora and Tecna unsure of what to say. Episode 10: The Silent Phantom. We begin at Althea, where the Trix are eager to see the Winx separated. They're certain this will make the rest of their mission far easier. Wasting no time, they refer to the next target from their location spell. Though it's clearly pointed towards the Golden Auditorium on Melody, this one is a bit different from the others thus far. It's not a tangible object, but rather Musa's voice. And Selina has the perfect idea how to get close to Musa, since Musa has never seen her before. As they speak, we see a flower growing along the walls, one that wasn't there before. At the Golden Auditorium, Musa and her father Obo have just finished speaking with Headmistress Diletta. They were incredibly worried having not heard from her since Althea's fall, but now Musa hopes some time here will help her forget all about the chaos and focus on her musical aspirations. She's actually shocked her father is all for her following her dreams now. While Obo heads home, Musa meets up with an old friend who's agreed to give her the grand tour, Princess Galatea. If Musa was surprised before, hearing that she got her enchantix from saving the Princess of Melody has her jaw crashing through the floor. During this tour, we learn that Galatea and Musa became close friends during their time over the summer here, and Galatea has even since earned her enchantix. During the tour, Musa's interest is captivated by a distant song from an uplifting melody, leading her to coming across a music therapy session led by a fairy by the name of Felamoda. Felamoda is actually an OC of my friend Nutalia, who's been helping with the rewrite, and she lent Felamoda to the rewrite to help the Winx navigate their mental health problems. Felamoda is a fairy of emotions from the world of Delona, the same world as Murda. She's a kind and compassionate person, but equally strong-willed and no-nonsense. Her eye, skin, and hair colors change based on the emotions that she's feeling, which often results in her becoming strange but glorious colors when her emotions are more complex. She gains strength with each person that she helps, but she actually isn't aware of that, focused more on caring for the people who turn to her. Felamoda is currently hosting a music therapy session, which of all people, Riven is present for, much to Musa's surprise. The two of them had spent a lot of time here over the summer, and because of his newfound love for music, Riven had hoped that this might help him sort through his feelings, though he hadn't expected Musa to show up. He moves to leave, but Musa asks him to stay. As they settle in for the session, we focus on a peculiar girl with a green streak in her hair at the very end of the group, eyeing Musa. Things aren't going nearly as well at Cloud Tower though, as Bloom, Flora, and Tecna are currently suffering through a group therapy session where Zarathustra continues to talk over them and prescribe superficial fixes to their problems, like getting new outfits for themselves. She even makes a comment that Bloom would probably feel better if she stopped moping over Sky and went out on a date. Flora finally snaps, telling Zarathustra off on how she's not listening to them at all. She's not interested in helping them, but just listening to herself talk. When she's offended, Flora asks if Zarathustra remembers her sister's names, and when she answers, Daisy and Flower? Flora storms out, quickly followed by Bloom and Tecna. Though the three complain about the session, Tecna comments that Bloom didn't treat the rest of them much better the other day. Bloom is confused, to which Flora mentions her episode at Magic City. Bloom insists that she wasn't in the city the day Cloud Tower was attacked. She hadn't left the school at all that day. She was even learning about a new kind of magic with Professor Fuoka at the time, and they can check with her. As the situation gets heated, Griffin pulls Bloom aside though, as she's been trying to think of what to say since she heard about the Winx splitting up. When Bloom says she's fine, Griffin snaps back, "Quite frankly, I don't give a rat's hide how you feel." She calls Bloom out for pressuring the Pixies into helping her invade the Winx's minds. However much she misses her friends' old selves, she has no right crossing those boundaries when they've basically just been dragged around on life-threatening missions. She advises Bloom to think about what she has done and reconsider her true motivations, otherwise she may lose her friends forever. Back at the Golden Auditorium, Felomoda explains that there are all kinds of therapeutic approaches to help people understand and process their emotions. Music therapy alone has many different styles, and today they will be focused on a mix of community and analytical music therapies. Every person is given a magical instrument said to have been crafted by the ancient Malarix fairies, and these instruments will allow them to channel their unconscious emotions into music that can help them to understand those emotions. They'll even produce lights of different colors, all representing different emotions. Felomoda asks if anyone would like to go first, and Riven volunteers. He plays a guitar, which produces a somber minor key melody, giving off blue and purple light. Felomoda asks how he felt while playing, and Riven replies that he felt helpless. As Felomoda encourages Riven to elaborate, Riven explains that he's always admired Musa for being true to herself, and since they became closer, that connection they shared through music kept him afloat and gave him purpose. But over time, he started to feel like something wasn't right. As he went back to think over how arrogant he used to be picking fights with the leader of his specialist squad, he realized a lot of it was him fighting back an urge to kiss him. He does love Musa, as he's liked women before, but he also admits he's tried to suppress feelings he had developed for some of his male friends in the past. And to him, clinging onto a relationship with Musa was a way to ignore the latter. But it got to a point he couldn't do it anymore, and he felt that Musa deserved better. Felomoda then turns to Musa, asking her to play her flute to focus on how she feels about all she's been through, and what Riven shared. She does, and everyone is in awe in the sheer number of different emotions that are released. Musa admits that she was thrown for a loop by the way she dresses now. Because of the spell that was cast on her, she's used to dressing more masculine, but keeps getting flashes of a desire to blur the binary between her masculine and feminine presentations. So, in a way, she can relate to Riven's feelings of not fully knowing himself. When Felomoda asks if there is anything else, Musa explains that, for her, music is like breathing. She's always found it helpful to express herself through her music, and that has not changed even after losing her memories. If anything, she's sad to find that in all the years she spent at Alfea, and even more years after graduating, she'd put her musical ambitions on the back burner because of her obligations to the Winx Club, especially when their hearts are also discordant. Felomoda then unexpectedly turns to the disguised Selina. Selina tries to pass the moment onto someone else, but Felomoda is insistent she share. Selina obliges and plays her instrument, releasing a pink light with a deeply melancholic sound. Hesitantly, she says she understands Musa and Riven as well. She had a friend she wound up falling madly for, wanting to spend all her time with her. But as they got older, they started drifting apart, and part of that was Selina's fear of their friendship being ruined by the fact that she believed this person would never feel the same for her. There was a lot more than that, but it still eats away at her, and Selina wishes she had just blurted out the truth. We then cut to Alfea, where the Trix are keeping an eye on Selina. Icy immediately catches on to what Selina is implying, though Stormy is surprised at the romantic twist. Darcy's not sure what to say, and is still caught on Riven's admission, as it's reminding her of something from her own past. We then cut to Magic City, where Tecna and Timmy are having a double date with Flora and Helia, with Tecna catching Timmy up on what went down on Zenith. Timmy gives Tecna his condolences, and Tecna appreciates Timmy listening to how she feels. Helia likewise apologizes, saying it must have been awful losing something so precious from her childhood. Even so, Tecna's been at work to combat the Trix, including working on an old device Timmy mentioned to break through the magical barrier around Althea. Flora mentions how the Trix just seem to be after everything that they love, wondering what they ever did to win the witch's hatred. That's when a light bulb goes off for Tecna. She realizes the commonality to the Trix's targets, and then realizes the other Winx are in imminent danger. Recalling what Bloom said, Helia does mention that illusion magic could have been used to turn the Winx against each other, specifically lunar magic. Before they head off, a strange bell-shaped flower floats in their direction. Flora realizes there's an enchantment around this flower, saying it's a common means of communication through flower languages on Lynphea. This particular flower, the rhododendron, represents danger, and as she focuses, she finds that Tecna is right, and they need to get to Melody as soon as possible. Back at the Golden Auditorium, the group has a break to grab refreshments, and Musa and Riven take the chance to talk. Musa thanks Riven for trusting everyone with what she's been through. Riven clarifies that he still does love Musa, he's just been trying to figure out whether he was a real partner to her versus using her as a crutch. Musa can't remember everything, but she does remember bits and pieces of their relationship, and it has definitely been rocky to say the least. Specifically, she has a lot of bad memories from Earth, where she dressed in all skirts with super long hair, and Riven starts laughing, saying they should have broken up then. He was a real jerk then. Musa is certain that he was, and it also comes out that part of the tension actually came from Musa starting to present more feminine, since Riven found a sort of comfort in her androgyny. He's worried she'll find that rude, but Musa actually takes it as a compliment. For the time being, Musa suggests that they just be friends and take time to figure themselves out, and Riven agrees. Elsewhere, Selina wanders off, deciding it's either now or never. Opening the Legendarium, she reads the tale of the Silent Phantom. The Phantom is a malevolent spirit said to haunt Melody, envious of the expressive culture of its people, and looking to silence their music for eternity. The Phantom easily slips inside the auditorium, attacking the therapy group. Musa transforms, as does Philomoda, but the Phantom is able to evade their attacks, and the same goes for Riven's attacks from his weapons. The Phantom corners Musa and attacks, and its power brings back Musa's memory of the day her mother Wanine passed, leading to her father tearfully destroying every instrument in the house, while Musa hid and cried. The day after, Musa was afraid to sing or even speak around her father. Even after time had passed, she'd find herself humming, then stopping whenever she noticed her father in earshot. In reality, Musa tears up, and the Phantom steals her voice, causing her to de-transform. Unexpectedly, the Phantom then destroys all the magical instruments, save for Musa's flute, and escapes the room to silence the entire school. Reluctantly, the Phantom hands Musa's voice over to Selina as she orders it, right as Bloom arrives, telling Selina to not do this. Seeing Musa tear up, Selina instead's only to take an echo of Musa's voice, leaving the rest behind as she escapes. Bloom focuses on trying to reach the voice, only for it to be swiped by the Phantom. Flora, Helia, Tecna, and Timmy catch up, only to find their powers and weapons ineffective. During the fight, the Phantom fucks up the stage, with some of the instruments nearly falling on Riven until Nex flies in to literally sweep him off his feet. Insert Riven blushing as Nex makes a shitty one-liner. Galatea attempts using her fairy dust to restore Musa's voice, only to find that it's ineffective. Regardless, Musa still wants to stop the Phantom, especially as she witnesses it taking the power and voices of everyone else. She summons her flute and begins playing, catching the Phantom's attention. She lures it away as Galatea and Riven follow her, which leads her into the underground caverns known for their spectacular acoustics. Galatea even mentions that these caves can echo sounds that have been trapped for centuries. Musa hopes this will be enough to deafen the Phantom, only for it to begin absorbing the sounds and becoming stronger. Galatea attempts to stop the Phantom only to lose her own voice and powers as well. It then goes after Musa's flute, destroying it. Musa cries silently as Bloom, Flora, and Tecna rush to hug and protect her. During this, Musa hears the songs in their hearts, finding that they're actually beginning to harmonize. Bloom specifically is feeling complicated emotions, including remorse and love. Memories begin to flood back of them coming to her rescue from the Trix in Magic City and other moments from over the years. It's at this point Musa flashes back to before her mother died. Juanine teaches Musa how to play the piano, explaining that music is a way to express herself and connect with others. Music has the power to connect with anyone, regardless of wherever they are, or even if it's someone in the distant future, listening to music created by someone that they've never met. And that power can never be silenced. In that moment, Musa stands, red fire burning all around her, and her new power sparks. Though she still doesn't have her voice, Musa is able to summon her Ardoric's weapon, the Flute of the Muses. The Phantom tries to destroy it, only for the musical fire created by the flute to push it back. All of the voices and instruments taken by the Phantom are restored, and the caverns echo with Musa's song as her voice is finally returned. The music hits all of the Winx and they tear up, and Musa hugs them all, saying that she's glad to see them. Holding out her hand, she helps Galatea up, and together they cast a convergent spell, Absolute Music. This unleashes a powerful symphony which destroys the Silent Phantom. In their victory, Musa instinctively absorbs some of the echoes of the auditorium's song into her fairy dust bottle. Afterwards, with the Golden Auditorium saved, everyone celebrates. Flora discusses the flower with Tecna, and thinks Princess Crystal must have sent it to warn them. Tecna is surprised, but agrees it's the only logical explanation. Perhaps it's a change of heart, or maybe Crystal is acting as a sort of double agent. Bloom, meanwhile, apologizes to Musa. Musa forgives her. She admits that she wants more time to focus on her music, but she also wants to use her power to protect and help people. And she thinks she can do that with the Winx, especially if the others who left are the Trix's next targets. However, Musa says that they all need a way to express how they feel so they can better function as a team. When Flora mentions how useless Zarathustra's therapy is, Musa agrees, but says there are other options, and so she introduces them to Felamoda. Felamoda says that she would be more than happy to help the Winx. When Tecna comments that she's not exactly a musical person, and Bloom jokes that she's more of a drawing person, Felamoda explains that there are many types of therapy, and they can work together to find what works best for each Winx. Once the whole team is reunited, Felamoda will be there to help them. And to celebrate this clean slate, Musa encourages the others to give music therapy a shot, and together they perform a new version of Beat to the Music that is specifically about the healing powers of music. Music can save the world.